The pandemic hit the countries of Latin America hard, followed by devastating cyclones. Christian organizations support the local people, but this year, of all times, the churches are losing money. More than 10 million people flocked to the huge square in front of the basilica in Mexico City on these special days in December. The festival in honor of the Virgin of Guadalupe is considered the largest Catholic pilgrimage in the world. But a few days ago, Mexico's President Andrés Manuel López Obrador tweeted two pictures of an orphaned area. There is no better example of the sense of responsibility of the Mexican people amid the corona pandemic, said the head of state. The church had cancelled the celebrations to avoid crowds, and the pilgrims had actually stayed home. The economic damage was brutal, and not just for the church. The Chamber of Commerce of Mexico City put the temporary loss of income for all involved at up to 70%. What Mexico City has already experienced is still to come in the churches of Germany. For example, Adveniat, the Latin American aid organization based in Essen. Adveniat is well known to anyone attending a Catholic church service on Christmas days. The organization traditionally collects on the holidays for the poorest between Mexico and Chile. Last year, the Christmas collection raised 23 million euros. That was 48.1% of the total income, says Father Michael Heinz, Adveniat managing director. But in this pandemic year, many believers will not attend church services over the Christmas period. As a result, Adveniat fears a slump in the amount of donations and hopes that people will transfer the money instead of throwing their donations into the doorbell bag as they do elsewhere between Flensburg and Garmisch. Several thousand donors have already responded to the call to donate online. But it would have to be more than twice as many donations to compensate for the expected drop in the collection, says Father Michael Heinz. The Catholic and Protestant churches have therefore concluded a kind of Christmas pact to save what can still be saved. Under the homepage Weihnachtskollekten.de, they call for donations for the Catholic aid organization Adveniat and the Protestant institution Bread for the World. A press release said in mid-December, because of the tough lockdown, the church relief organizations are concerned that the possibility of attending church services on Christmas Eve and Christmas could be further restricted. The consequences would be dramatic. After the terrible year 2020, Latin America is on the ground. Devastating cyclones in autumn devastated the Central American countries of Honduras, El Salvador, and Guatemala, and hundreds of thousands of people are homeless. In addition, the corona pandemic has hit the economy in Latin America even harder in many places than in the rest of the world. In Argentina, the homeland of Pope Francis, millions of people fell below the poverty line. The Catholic University has calculated that 44% of the population, or 20 million people, are now considered poor. In Venezuela, it is Caritas that can guarantee at least a small amount of supplies in a completely run-down country. Nevertheless, people continue to flee the country and thus exacerbate the already tense situation in the neighboring Latin American countries, which are plagued by record unemployment. These are humanitarian disasters which, however, receive little attention given the difficult corona situation in Europe. Help could usually be provided on site with donations from the past Christmas collection for Adveniat or from other donations for church aid organizations such as Caritas, Misericord, Diaconie, or Bread for the World. For example, Adveniat and Caritas provided emergency aid of more than 500,000 euros for the hurricane victims in Central America. So they were often the lifeline for the desperate local people. But these relief efforts are now hanging by a thread. Adveniat currently finances nearly 2,000 projects in Latin America annually with 95% donations. The people in charge in Essen are therefore fascinated by the incoming donations via the online form. We will be able to compensate for part of the decline with a reserve that Adveniat has set up for emergencies, says Father Michael Heinz. Nevertheless, hundreds of aid projects in Latin America may not be able to be realized, and that in a situation where the corona and devastating hurricanes means that people are particularly dependent on outside help. Hundreds of thousands got into this deep need through no fault of their own. The cancellation of the largest pilgrimage in the world, the festival in honor of the Virgin of Guadalupe in Mexico, did not stop the pandemic there either. The number of infections has been rising again for days. With around 120,000 deaths, or just under 94 deaths per 100,000 inhabitants, Mexico is the third hardest hit country in Latin America after Peru and Argentina. As a result, the church in the largest Catholic diocese in the world, as in many other Latin American countries, had to cancel all attendance services until January, including Christmas services. That means even in Latin America the bellbags will probably remain empty, and that in the midst of the economically difficult phase of the century. And if you want to stay informed, please subscribe to my channel, subscribe to my other channels. I'll see you in my next video. Bis gleich.